A lot of different people play medic, and therefore there are a lot of different ways people play him. Some ways are obviously better than others, but I feel like throughout all of the medics I've seen in my years of playing, I can't help but notice a pattern. Now, I don't really care how anyone plays medic, but every once in a while I see the same type of person showing up again and again, and it just makes me smile in the pit of my soul to see these kind of people filling in such wonderful stereotypes. That faint whiff of Mountain Dew and Minecraft Let's Plays you smell is the newborn medic, or in other words, someone who just now started playing the class. They're pretty much guaranteed to be 100% stock, and most likely will only play for about 10 minutes before how much medic sucks to play gets the better of them and they go spy. You can usually tell these medics apart by their overconfidence in the syringe gun's range and very conditional healing. To this day, though, I don't quite understand why some of these newer medics do the thing. You know, the thing where they just stand still staring at whoever they're healing. Like, even when I was first starting out, I figured out really quick that hopping around like I used a cheese grater for toilet paper increased my chances of survival just exponentially. I guess at the end of the day, they really are pretty bad, but you can't hold that against someone who just started. It takes time to learn. I get it, and we were all there at one point too. The problem is, one way or another, the team has to get healed, and that's a hell of a lot harder when it's this guy at the helm. Who's that knocking on death's door again? Why, it's Mr. Accident Prone, of course. Here's the medic who's always dead. And it's not that they're bad medics, it's more like no matter what they do, they either get sniped, backstabbed, killed by a random crit, or mowed down by some other symphony of gunfire. Death doesn't care where they are or what they're doing, bad luck just seems to follow. Everyone accidentally steals their health kits, reflected rockets always dive straight for them, and no matter what, if they're anywhere near the ending payload explosion, it ends them. The story of this medic's life is just wrong place, wrong time, and even when they do have the foresight to make sure whatever killed them last time doesn't happen again, something else just comes along. Things just never work out, and whether it's their fault or not, it's mostly going to be this type of medic's name filling the kill feed. They have rotten luck all the time, and try as they might, there's not much they can do to stop it. The Remora medic is quite a remarkable creature. This is the assist farmer that just lives off another player's glory. They won't heal anyone else the entire game and just constantly stays on whatever player has the most points or fancy hats. You can kind of see these medics when it's obvious there's a pub-stomping duo on the server, but the real worst is the one that does it because they think that's just how you play medic. Sometimes when I don't use an alt account and I join a server as myself, there's gonna be these idiots that pocket me as a fucking medic. I'm no better at my job with you around. You go pocket a knuckle dragger or something. And okay, that's partly my fault, but it should at least be common knowledge that pocketing another medic is one of the worst things you can do. I don't care who that person is. Sorry, just a little bit bitter about that. Bear in mind, the difference between this medic and a pocket medic is that this one heals nobody else, not even just to get them out of the red. Even I hate these people just because of how obnoxious it is to have to walk back to spawn because Dr. Strangelove needs a wheelchair. Most combat medics fall into the category of overly aggressive medic, but honestly, some regular doctors do too. This is the medic who is no stranger to overextending, and anytime they die, it's because they are where they really have no business being. To them, the Uber Saw is their Excalibur, and when the chips are down, they're not afraid to go for the kill. You'll see these medics paired up with soldiers and demos mostly because everyone else is either too weak or too slow. They're usually with their pocket way ahead of their team, and while this type gets results, they die all the time. You can usually recognize this medic by the Blutsauger and the middle school football style overdeveloped sense of competition, and while this medic might not be looking out for his best interests, he certainly has the enthusiasm. The fun part about this type of medic is when their reckless abandon pays off. It doesn't happen often, but that fleeting sense of victory after winning a fight with the odds stacked ridiculously against them comes around just enough to make them want to do it again. Sadly, for every success there's 1,000 failures, but it'll take a lot more than that to talk them down. The cautious, the timid, and the most reserved medics are the nervous wreck. This person is the most concerned with their own life, meaning that they won't do anything to jeopardize it. They won't step into sight lines, they won't push with their team until it's absolutely safe, and they're super spy paranoid. While they do survive and rack up tons of healing points, the kind of caution they have makes them more like a slightly portable dispenser than anything. They have tons of Ubers, but they'll pop way before they need to, hang out for a couple seconds, and then be 40 miles away by the time the charge fades. This person has nerves made of bubble wrap, and if anything goes pop, that's the last you're gonna see of them for a long time. They'll give you a call from spawn and ask you how it went. You could of course argue that this is a good way to play medic, but the whole gun at the first sign of trouble thing can keep the healing away from the front lines where it's needed the most. If you'll pardon the pun, the next type is the sauerkraut. Now, for future reference, kids, nobody likes an angry medic, which is funny considering the fact that medic is probably the most infuriating class to play. These are the people who are just talking all kinds of trash about how bad the team is. They're yelling at heavies for not throwing out their sandwich immediately, cussing out soldiers for rocket jumping, and no matter what, will always be whining about snipers or spies. And trust me when I say, you can see this guy a mile away. They will always, without fail, blame whoever they're healing when they die, even if them getting blown to pieces was entirely their own fault. This person just has not accepted the fact that medic is a class of disappointment, and there's nothing anyone can do to change that, so you might as well get used to it. Every time I see one of these idiots, it makes me laugh how the person playing the most helpful class also happens to be the biggest douche. Dr. Oblivious has yet to realize he's on this list. This person is more tunnel visioned than a sniper. Anyone walking out of their narrow cone of vision is entirely non-existent to them. The calls for medic from the team and the sounds of guns being pointed at them fall on a deaf doctor's ears. They'll keep you alive, sure, and they'll heal you in a heartbeat, but if you step outside of this guy's line of sight, you might as well be a ghost. It's like there's no object permanence with them. The moment they no longer see something, it doesn't exist anymore. Poof, it's gone. They're only focused on what they see, and anything else going on around them they are completely oblivious to. This guy is also, I might add, a spy's best friend. They never have the foresight to use their hindsight, so sneaking up on them is way too easy. Having this person on your team is okay, but God forbid you try and get his attention outside of what's directly in front of him. There's no way in hell that's happening. Different medics have different playstyles, and while the varying kinds of medic work for most, a handful of them are absolutely 16 different flavors of terrible. They're a struggle to coax some semblance of skill out of, and an even bigger struggle to play with. My condolences to anyone who gets stuck with these medics on their team, and I want to promise you from the depths of my heart that the rest of us, including myself, are only slightly better.
I'm the invincible, undefeated champion. Mount Zion's my ancestors can't rely on. Star of David, nah, the thought of stardom. Martyrdom and done crumbs left to the dumb thumb. To this play button, glutton of words. Mutton, birds of fly to fly to you, dropping turds. Hopping up on ignorance to feel how your mighty pop up the real. Dance the visual cry to deity. Pious piety might it be to see is truly to be me. I see a